Welcome back to the expansion of consciousness. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and today's guest is someone whose life story epitomizes what it means to transform from the inside out, guys. And I want you to meet Tara Wiskow. She's an intuitive energy healer and life reinvention expert who guides women to break free from self-abandonment and self-sabotage and chronic cycles of people pleasing. And after losing 220 pounds, guys, this is a beautiful woman, but after losing 220 pounds naturally and overcoming deep emotional trauma, Tara discovered how our thoughts, emotions, and energetic patterns directly shape our bodies and our lives. And today, through her flagship She Rises program, she helps women release limited beliefs, purge negative emotions, and clear blocked energy. And how many times have we talked about clearing blocked energy on this show? And they can claim their own authentic power. Upgrade your mindset. And I'm a mental performance coach also, so we love mindset. And upgrade their lifestyle and the body they've always desired. Get ready for a transformative and deeply empowered conversation with Tara Wiskow. And she's here. I'm going to bring her on right now. Hold on one second. Hello there, Tara. How you doing?
Hello, Jason. I am fantastic. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. And, I want the audience to know I was schooled before we got on. And it's, guys, when you see her name, it's not Tara, it's Tara Wiskow. Okay. So this is a great opportunity to get a chance to have a conversation with you. You and I, we met on a platform where a lot of us creators are, and we started going back and forth on trying to figure out, could we work together? Could we have this interview together? And the more and more I read, I'm like, she's a fit. She's a fit for the expansion of consciousness. I'm so glad that you were able to come on. Just talk to us before we get into the questions, Tara. Let us know where you are and what started you on this journey of transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here and for all that you do and holding the space for women like me, men also in the same path, but all of your listeners that get to come to you and hear what you have to share and what you're putting out there.
Thank you.
So, what brought me into the journey? Honestly, my story, my journey, it's definitely not one moment. And as you alluded to, Jason, in reading and speaking about me and my journey to getting here, it's really been a series of awakenings and becomings. I've lost 220 pounds naturally. I've walked through the loss of losing my baby sister to 39 years. She was 39 to cancer just 2 years ago. Divorce, single motherhood, deep depression. But honestly, the biggest thing that has brought me into where I am now is healing and the belief that I'm worthy of a life that I love. And that's what I help women do now, is come home to themselves. And it started 17 years ago. I always have to take my youngest son and subtract 2 from that age. It started 17 years ago when I was 338 pounds. I was deemed morbidly obese as a single mom. And the mom that I always imagined that I would be was not who I was showing up as. And so my journey started there when I was in the struggle of suicide. And my middle son saved my life by asking me this very one question that I live with every single day as a reminder. He goes, "Are you going to die, mama?" And in that moment, I knew I had a choice. That was the very first time that I realized that I had a choice how I wanted to show up in this life. And that life wasn't just what it was, and that I had to live it as it was given to me. I could decide what I wanted my life to look like. I could decide how I wanted to show up in my life. And I'd always sworn that I would never lie to my boys, that the answer that I shared, no matter how hard it was going to be the truth. And that came from being 8 years old and having a really difficult experience of finding out about a huge secret about me. So that was a start of my journey of going through weight loss, losing 220 pounds. But most recently, Jason, which is what brings you and I together, is stepping into this new calling as an intuitive healer. And that was a loss of my baby sister. Losing her just cracked me open intuitively. And she brought me into this calling to guide me into understanding that I've always been a healer and I've always been meant to heal women from the inside and to help them understand the energy within that is causing them to be blocked from actually being able to live authentically and love themselves unapologetically.
Yes, yeah. And that makes perfect sense, so it's always that one critical flashpoint which cracks open those old patterns. And in your case, it compelled you to choose a new way of living. I love how you emphasize that, that lasting change,
Mm,
and it really all begins with this simple soul shaking realization of, wow, what am I going to do? And when your son asks you that type of question, that had to be really gut wrenching, but it does produce change. And, you know, in your case, it was a change for the better. And you talked about self abandonment and self sabotage being at the root of so many women's struggles.
mhm.
But can you explain why this happens and how we can break free of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
The self-sabotage and self-abandonment truly is a trauma response, and that's something that we don't connect with. We think it's what we're doing naturally without understanding that there's a basis to why we do it. And we have 4 trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And most often, especially the self-abandonment, that comes from people pleasing. And I was in my research and the learning, I was very surprised that people pleasing all is self-abandonment. But it makes sense when you really dive into it and to understand when you're people pleasing, you are negating your own self-care and how important you are and what matters, and you are crossing yourself off the list. I can't tell you list of things that need to be done, and I was on that list. But when things started to pile up and other people's needs were coming at me, I was crossing myself off and I was saying to myself, I'm not a priority. I don't matter. Everybody else matters more than me. And this is in that state, that phase of fawn, when we're in that trauma response. And so we're actually going through what we're doing for a reason. And most times it's so that we don't go through abandonment, right? We will self-abandon all day long to make sure that we aren't abandoned, but we don't want to be abandoned by everybody else. And that's why we do the self-abandonment. And so we will also self-abandon or self-sabotage to make sure that we're always accepted, we're always loved, and we're always being wanted. So it's truly about love. We want to feel that love. And as I see like expansion on your shirt, that is just coming to me so strong of saying we really want to have an expansion of love within us, but we actually limit our ability to feel that self-love.
I
And the
get it.
way, right? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, no, no. Go ahead. I said
Oh,
I
okay.
get
Yeah,
it.
you get it. Yes. So to work through it, Jason, really is coming home to yourself and understanding, first of all, awareness. Awareness is the key to changing anything. You can't change what you don't know needs to be changed. And so when we become aware of what's going on, when we can actually say this is a trauma response, and then we can actually start digging and diving in to understand it's coming from a childhood, it's coming from a past life, it's being passed down generationally, it's imprint, it's energy. When we start to create this awareness and understand where it's coming from, that's where we start to have the ability to be able to move through it. I love to utilize meditation. I love to use soul aligned journaling. I love to use visualizations,
Mm.
anything that feels so good and grounds you and brings you home and allows you to feel so right in your soul. That's how we start to shift out of self abandonment as well as that self sabotage.
And allows you to gain more clarity and allows you
Yeah.
to have freer thoughts and
Yes.
allows your connection with source to be that much more stronger. Visualization is the number one tool in my bag that I
Yeah.
use. And if you can't see yourself being healthy, being successful, being rid of trauma or pain, then it'll never happen. You have to be able to see it. And that's why I'm glad you said that.
Oh,
And
I love that.
Yes. And so when we don't believe we deserve to be cared for, we unconsciously act out those beliefs by neglecting ourselves and sabotaging our own success. And
Mhm.
the good news is once we see that root pattern, we can consciously choose a new behavior that honors our worth, and it breaks that destructive cycle, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes, yes.
But what is identity shifting, and why is it the missing piece for women who feel stuck or lost or
Mm.
disconnected from their true selves?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I already have tears just having this, even you just open this up and talk about this.
Yeah.
I It was a year and a half ago. I had just lost my sister Trisha, and I was sitting on the front deck, and I was talking to a friend, and I said, I can't figure out why I can't figure out who I'm supposed to be. I don't know where I'm going in life. I don't know what's missing. Something's missing, but I can't figure out what's missing. I just could not figure it out. And later that day, I was sitting out on our swing by our pond, and this song called No Hard Feelings by Avett Brothers came on. And the lyrics in it, Jason, hit me so deep because it was talking about no regrets. Like when my lips can no longer kiss, when my feet can no longer take a step forward, when I can no longer pick up the keys. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm really bringing home is saying that when I'm no longer able to do these things that I take for granted, will I have no hard feelings or any guilt? And in that
Yeah.
moment, all of a sudden, I know that source spirit guides, I know that they came and they said to me, Tara, you are looking for the missing piece, but you're looking everywhere but within. I was
Mhm.
the missing piece. I was the missing piece. And when I started to dive in and realize that I was the missing piece, I started to understand the identities that I was living behind. It's like if you've ever went to the Shrine Circus and you've seen this individual spinning all these plates on the poles, and they're all going, and he or she has to keep them all spinning and not drop them. And as soon as he drops it, the plate crashes. That's what we as women do, and I believe men. There are many men, I think, as we're evolving in time, men are starting to step into this space as well. But for me, I work with primary women, so that's where I speak from. We wear masks of identities, just like a plate spinner spins plates, and we are having to switch this, switch that, put this in, depending upon whether it's for our husband, our spouse, our significant other, our parents, our in-laws, our children, hell, our pets,
Yeah.
our coworker, anywhere we are having to shift out of these masks or identities in order to be who we believe we have to be good enough, to be wanted, to be accepted, and not be too much in these situations. And so identity shifting is, again, very much of what I'm saying. It's we are wearing an identity that we think is needed in this moment in order to be good enough,
Yeah.
which is, as an NLP practitioner, neuro linguistic programming practitioner, the number one limiting belief that I help women release when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to self improvement, when it comes to love is all about not being good enough.
Yeah.
That one word, enough, it will derail anybody's success, happiness, feelings of love and worth every single time. So the reason that we need to shift out of getting rid of all these identities and have one where you come home to yourself and say, this is me, you live authentically, is because when you are trying to, for instance, manifest, when you're dropping into a visualization, when you're going into these meditations and you're showing up wearing the wrong mask because it's not your identity, it's somebody else's identity that you perceive as needed. You're not coming into the situation as you, as who you are. And when that happens, you're actually bringing into your life things that you don't want, especially in manifestation, I believe. I do believe that when we drop into meditation and visualization, we really connect with our higher self and our future self. That's grounding us in our truth. And when we're in that space, it's really, really difficult. And you might have found different, Jason, but I find that's where I'm my truest self. And if I try to be somebody different, I'm almost like clubbed on the back of the head and reminded to come home to myself in the moment. However, when we're trying to manifest things in, And we're manifesting from an identity that is not us. We're bringing in things that are out of alignment with what we really want. And we can't quite figure out why our life is continuing to evolve in a way that we don't like, or why we're bringing in things that we don't want or don't feel good. We're doing this from a space of being someone that is not our authentic self. And that's why identity shifting is vital. When you know that you have changes you want to make, you know you want to shift your life, we need to make sure that you're out of the shifting of identity and you've got one identity that you live behind.
Yes, and absolutely, I totally agree. And so, identity shifting isn't just thinking positive affirmation, and I'm
No.
understanding it's about energetically embodying the person you want to become.
Yes.
And
And
when we
self
align,
acceptance.
mhm. And when we align ourselves daily with thoughts and emotions and rituals with our new identity, everything from mindset to physical well-being, it starts to transform you, and
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing. But I want to ask you a question. You were talking about the loss of your sister to cancer,
Yeah.
and you said that that moment was a spiritual awakening for you. How did you experience I'm sorry, how did that experience lead you to stepping fully into your purpose as an intuitive energy healer?
Yeah, absolutely. The day that we let her go, we knew that that was the decision that needed to be made. When I left the hospital, I found a penny. And the very first penny I found was 1984. That was the year she was born. And I kind of thought, whatever. It's just, not really significant to anything. The second penny that I found was 1979. That's the year I was born. The third penny I found was 1987. That was the year that we found out she had a bone disease. And then the next was 2016. That's the year her and I traveled to Georgia. So that started to open me up because I started to realize that there were four significant dates that were very important between her and I. Fast forward or a month. It was a month after that, and a few days. I was out of town, and I was with my husband for our anniversary, and I instantly heard, as soon as we were out walking the streets of this beautiful town, Stillwater, Minnesota, "I want you to get a gift for mom from me."
Mhm.
And I knew it was Trisha. I knew that she was saying that, but I ignored it. And this continued on for 5 days. We were there for 5 days, and she came to me multiple times every single day. And finally, on the last day, I felt like I couldn't ignore it. So I told my husband, I said, "Trisha wants me to get a gift for mom." And he's like, "Oh, okay." Because he did not know where I was coming from. He does not at all, still to this day, have any belief in it, but he loves me and he supports me. So I very facetiously said to Trisha, "Okay, so where am I going to get this gift?" Because at this point, I'm not believing it. I've always believed in this, but I never believed I was able to, right? And she said, "It's in the gift store." And I looked where she was telling me to look in my mind, and there's a gift store, Jason. We walked by this store every single time. I never once knew it was a gift store. I still don't know if I went back there today, if it would be a gift store. I just am not convinced.
Wow.
And so I went into the gift store and I said, "Where now?" And she directed me all the turns of where I had to go. Now, some information I need to share with you. Trisha,
Okay.
because of her bone disease, is 4'10".
Mhm.
And so she's very short. And right before she died, my mom and her were sewing coffee cup coasters to keep Trisha busy. And so when she directed me, she said, "Right down there on the bottom shelf, there's a coffee cup. And on the coffee cup says, 'I will always love you and I will always be with you, your short one.'" Trisha's nickname was Your Short One. That was her nickname. And so in
Yeah.
that moment, right, I
Yes.
knew she guided me right
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So I started to be open and I started to listen and I started to ask questions. And she told me, "You need to go to this spiritual store that is about an hour away." And when I walked in, my body started to vibrate. I started to be pulled to where I needed to go. I was told what crystals I needed to pick up. I was picking up crystals and she was telling me. I know it was her and she was guiding me. And in that moment, that's when I fully opened and realized the power within that was there. And I just never realized it or never accepted it.
Wow. I'm listening to you, saying that you opened yourself up, and I hear you. When you have that profound grief, it opened this channel for you to access your intuition more deeply,
Yeah.
and it shifted your focus from merely surviving to truly serving. And that
Yes.
loss became the catalyst that awakened your gifts and led you to help other women heal on every level. And I just commend you for it.
Thank you.
And a lot of us, we aren't clairaudient, but I'm hearing that you are clairaudient.
Yes.
And a number of us, we hear, we see, we sense, our intuition is high, but we just think that, oh, well, I knew that. No, no. The ego needs to move out of the way. But when we quieten ourselves, and you talked about meditation a minute ago, when you quieten yourself to the level of where it's just you and it's peace and it's quiet,
Yeah.
you can begin to hear. And that is a beautiful thing for the audience if you're listening on how to connect with the downloads or move to a
Mhm.
frequency where you can receive a message from source, a message from a loved one. And in
Mhm.
your case, just at that moment, that openness that you shared, allowed you to connect with a channel. And you see a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people that can do this and they can channel. And I never
Yeah.
thought it would be me. We all have the gift, Tara. We
Yes. Yes.
all have the
Yes.
gift, you know.
We do. And
Yeah.
it's interesting now as I've always believed in intuition. You always have it, but you usually hear it in terms of if you stop at the stop sign and you usually
Mhm.
go right, but you're told to go left, it's because there's an accident, or if you're late, it's because you're being protected. I've always known that we'd have intuitive downloads that way. I
Yes.
just never thought that I could be a vessel in the way that I am. And Jason, it goes back to my worth and my belief because what I do is my passion. What I do is my love. I am finally stepping into my purpose. And I always believed that I could never be good enough or worthy enough to do this work because this to me is I'm a sacred vessel to changing lives. And I was a weight loss and still am a weight loss coach using the tools that way. And in that way, I was a vessel. But I thought I could be that person because I'd lost 220 pounds. So because I did the hard work of doing it, then naturally, because I worked hard, then I could. I just didn't realize that I could step into this calling because I am worthy of it. I am deserving. It
And,
is who
and
I
that
am.
and that's why, source, God, Buddha, I don't like to name one particular
Right.
higher being, but that's why you were put in that situation. It was to learn.
Yeah.
And to actually experience it so that you can share the knowledge, you can share the process. I have a question for you. Many women feel like they're constantly searching for something, but
Right.
they can never seem to find it. What is it that they're actually looking for?
I honestly believe that every single one of us women that can't find what we're looking for is we're looking for ourselves. That's it. Like
Gotcha.
everything that you're looking for is all within you. And I have found that we look outside of us because we're so caught up in external validation and lack of belief in our ability to choose for ourselves or to want for ourselves. We have so much guilt. We have so much guilt when we want to feel better, have more, do more. We feel like we shouldn't and we try to numb our emotions and tell ourselves you should be happy. You should be happy with what you have. You have a good life. You should be grateful for that. Why would you want more? And so we're constantly looking outside of ourselves for what's missing, which honestly, what's missing is the fact that we won't let ourselves open up and just be true and
Yeah.
say, this is what I want. And it's okay that I don't want to be 338 pounds. It's okay that I want to be a bodybuilder. It's okay that I don't want to be a weight loss coach anymore and that I want to be an intuitive healer. It's okay that I want this and I'm not selfish for that.
I'm glad you said that because how can I say this? There are some women out there that, like you said, that this craving for something, this external craving for to be something and to want something, and they never really know what it actually is, but they know that they want to look like this or they want to feel this way.
Yeah.
But I want to encourage women to look deeper than just the sense or the thought of this is what I want. And even if you're trying, there's still a level of tranquility, a level of self-awareness that you have to reach so that it becomes your everyday not life. And you lost the weight,
Right.
but it's a part of you now. It's just a part of what you do.
Yeah.
And if not just women, men too, if you can build in this change that you're experiencing and just make it who you are,
Yes.
then
Yes.
it stays there.
Yes, so true. And it really is coming home to yourself. That's why I keep saying that, because it is coming home to yourself. And rather than looking for the external validation, rather than looking for the permission, I can't tell you how many years I wasted looking for permission to be okay to be myself. Like, is it okay if I be Tara? Well, you were born Tara. It's not a mistake. Like, you weren't just all of a sudden this little seed that was like a mistake. And they're like, well, shoot, where do we put her? Right.
Right.
Like, I was looking for permission always. And it's coming home and allowing ourselves to just sit with it and ask, like, what does not feel right about this situation right here, right now? What don't I like? What doesn't just fit with me? Why? Why doesn't this fit? And if I could shift it and change it, how would I shift it and change it? And then it's about being so raw, real, honest, and allowing those thoughts to flow without even judging it. No judgment, no shame. Just let it flow. And I've found that if I can allow myself to go into, especially in the start, guided meditation. I
Mhm.
don't need guided meditation now, but in the beginning, I needed guided meditation, and there's
Wow.
nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
Wow.
Right? And so if you can choose a guided meditation that is about the subject or what you're trying to work through and allow it to guide you through it, and then journaling. And let me tell you what, journaling was something that I did not enjoy at all. I hated journaling. Now, when I would come out of a meditation, I would journal what I saw, what I felt, what I heard, what anything like smells. I'm
I'm
not
proud of
big
you.
on smells, but some people are, that they can pull a smell in. I'm not there, but that's okay. And so when you can journal about it, that's when you start becoming aware of who you are. That's where you start to go in and bring out your truth.
You better keep talking. I mean, you are spot on. When I went through my spiritual journey, my walk, you are recreating the same thing. I had to start off with guided meditation because I didn't really know what I was doing.
Right.
But once I grew, once I
Yes.
was able to be more open, I didn't want to hear anybody's voice. And
Yes.
I became a transcendental meditator. And the only way I'll listen to a guided meditation now, and maybe if I'm trying to learn something different, but
Right.
I don't dislike it. It's I'm able to reach my level of peace and tranquility and connect with source much better just with it being myself. And
Yeah.
you are hitting it on. And journaling is a form of meditation as well, and
Yeah.
that has been so instrumental in my life. And I had a book club, myself and three other ladies, and we did subconscious letters
Oh,
every quarter. We wrote from the subconscious and just whatever the
oh.
pen. You heard about subconscious writing?
No, but I'm
Oh
loving
yeah,
it.
subconscious writing is just sort of writing and whatever comes. You have to be in a very relaxed state and
Yeah.
you start writing. So we were writing these letters to our subconscious on what we had already achieved that we hadn't achieved yet, but we were
Yes.
writing it as if it was. And it was
Yes.
so
Yes.
beautiful, Tara. So beautiful.
Oh,
And I
I
think
love
in this overall, when we'll wrap it up with this, and I'll move to the next topic, but just this people, I don't want to just say women, but what people are craving, it can't be just external fix, but it needs to be more deeper. And I mentioned this a minute ago, more a deeper sense of belonging to their own soul. And I want to have the audience understand, until you connect with your inner truth and
Right.
honor your own needs, you have to do this. but you'll keep chasing this empty solution that would never fill your void. So people listen to Tara and pick up the tidbits of what we're talking about and begin to change your life right now. I mean, right now. So, but I want to ask you another question. You created a signature process. And it's called
Yes.
Unravel, Upgrade, Up Level. Okay.
Yes.
And that's to help women transform their lives into something better. Yeah. So
Yes.
can you walk us through what that process looks like and how it works?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I would love to.
Yes.
So in the unravel, probably I love all the phases, but this honestly, Jason is my most favorite because as we're unraveling, it's really the process of unbecoming.
Oh,
And this process was born because my husband is a computer tech IT guy, so he gets computers. So he was talking about extracting everything out of a computer so that he could then put in something new and then he could then go beyond. I was like, oh my gosh, you just like hit it. This is what I have to help my women do, which is then where my program She Rises came from because I realized I need to unravel them. I need to clean their slate. So often when we think about a baby coming in, we think it's innocent, brand new, never like there's no imprints, no fingerprints, nothing quote unquote dirty but that's not true. When we're born, we're coming with potentially past lives, or things passed down generationally. We've got imprints, we've got trauma, we've got stuff that we've just brought in because we're born into this life with the humans that we have as parents. And so as we come in, we're already imprinted. I realize that as we're moving through life, we're living behind these imprints, and that's causing us to have these limiting beliefs that are making us believe things to be true for us that really aren't true for us because it happened 6 generations ago or it happened 6 lifetimes ago. And we're confused why we're feeling what we're feeling, and we can't quite pull it all together. But it's because we have these thoughts that don't truly belong to us, but have been imprinted upon us. So I need to help women unravel. I need to pull this out. I need to pull those limiting beliefs. I need to pull those beliefs. I need to take all these emotions that just are no longer serving us,
mm.
that
And you
no
love this.
longer belong. They're disconnecting us from our truth, or they always have disconnected, or they've never been us. And I need to unravel. So we go through the process of unbecoming, unraveling. So often, women come to me and they'll say, Tara, I don't know what's going on, but I don't even think I know who I am anymore. And that is celebration. Like I get goosebumps as I say it. They're terrified. They're terrified because they're feeling like they're empty. And I am celebrating because we have successfully unraveled if they're feeling empty. They're like, I don't know who I am, because we now have given them a clean slate.
Mm,
Now, what we can do is we start to go through the upgrade process. So it's putting in new programming. We've taken the old programming out. Now let's put in new programming. So this is where we're working in the subconscious, the unconscious. We're bringing forth in the meditation, the visualizations, like what do we know we want? When we connect with our higher self and we see our future and we see our future self, how does she function? How does she operate? How does she respond? What does she do every single morning? How does she talk? What are her thoughts? How does she treat her body? All this stuff is all part of the upgrade that we start to implement and we take forth in over 8 weeks period of time. When we're done with that, we have a new being that has come out of the car wash that is standing there and is crystal clean and feeling absolutely re-energized and reborn. But we're not done. We're not done there. Even though that's amazing, that's beautiful, this has to have a layer of protection put over it. So now we're going to go through the up level. And this is where we begin to add just the additional pieces of what we know we need in order to protect that, so that we've made an absolute lifestyle change. The sustainability is behind it. And this is honestly where you've cemented in the programming to be the programming. But it's very important that we also make it aware that anything can shift and change if you so choose for it to shift and change as you continue on through life. Because let's be real, I'm 46, and I swear when I turned 20, I wanted something different. When I was 30, I wanted something different. When I was 40, I wanted something different. So life changes, and I need to teach them how to bring in their evolution of change on their own and how to handle the change that happens without them wanting it so that they stay in control.
mm. I, The reason why I'm smiling is because you know how you can hear that's your favorite song on the radio, but hearing your frequency and the things you're talking about, other terms I use, same thing, creating new neural pathways,
Yes.
neuroplasticity of the mind,
Mm,
rewiring the brain. I got it.
mhm.
So basically, I got it. Unraveling is about releasing the old programming, upgrading, meaning install a new empowered belief system. And
Yes.
the up level is where women step fully into that new life with their new aligned habits. And once you see how those three phases work together, it's clear why so many approaches work. Weight loss, change your life. Um,
Yes.
on a purely physical level, um, it's awesome. And this energetic foundation that you're setting for your clients, I'm amazed, and I'm so
Thank you.
happy that you're moving in this direction. And you battle suicidal thoughts.
Mhm.
You turn your life around. What advice do you have for someone who feels like they're at their breaking point?
Oh, yeah. First of all, anybody that is there, I'm holding space for you right now. And I feel you. And I want you to know that there's no judgment, there's no shame, there's no blame. All there is just love, absolute love. And if you're at that point of that breaking point, know that you don't need to find the light of how to get through because you are the light. And you just need to stop dimming yourself and allow yourself to stand up and be your truest version and know that the breaking point is always the point of breakthrough. I believe that so often when I was at that breaking point and I thought that there was no way that I could return from it and that there's just no way I could get out of it. If I stayed true to knowing that I could, I could get through this, that something was coming around the corner, that I could endure it. I started to look at it as it's just like any old, like a cut. It always heals. It always heals. It just takes time. It needs to be cleaned. It needs to have salve put on it. It maybe needs a band aid, but it would heal with time as long as I took that time. If I pay attention to it, if I give it the love and the affection it needs, then it will heal. And we're the same. We're the same. And so look at yourself as a cut. If you've got a cut or a gash or whatever, what do you need in order for you to be able to heal and to stand and to be able to get through this? And I love to look at it as like if we look at the valley or we look that you're in this deep, deep hole. One thing that I use with my women all the time is when you're at the bottom, and let's say that you're 35 feet deep in this hole and it's dirt at the bottom, you've got a choice. You can keep digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and staying where you're at in the beliefs that you have and the actions that you have and the choices that you're making. And before long, you'll be 45 feet deep down and you're going to be feeling even darker and even more lost and disconnected. Or you can start to look at the side of this hole that you're in and you can start using the effort that you are to start putting in these wedges or these stepping stones, and you can start stepping yourself up and out of there. And you know what? That work is just as hard as it is digging yourself deeper. It is just as hard, but it is so empowering when you start to take that step up and you realize that you've not only taken 3 steps, you've taken 10. And then when you keep going, you start to get more empowered and you start to get stronger and your belief raises and you realize there's nothing that can keep you down. There is nothing that can keep anyone down but themselves. And when you connect with that, babe, when you know that at your deepest soul, not a damn thing is going to break you. You will always be your own breakthrough. That's
Tara,
all.
you're ready for the stage. You're ready for conferences. I'm not sure if you're already doing them enough, but you're ready. And that's a powerful
Mm,
response. So
thank
when
you.
darkness feels overwhelming, your first step is to simply just to reach out and claim one small thread of hope.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
assuming by anchoring in the tiniest spark of whether it's the breath, maybe it's a prayer, or or maybe one true friend that can begin to untangle the despair and rediscover your worth. Um,
Yeah.
and What a powerful message for anyone, not just
Thank you.
women, anyone who is, at that moment, your heart just goes out because from a spiritual side, when we do commit suicide, it has been said that you've broken the contract, and then you're
Mhm.
going to have to come back and reincarnate again. But there's no shame once you go back home. I'm quoting from the books of Dolores Cannon. I'm a level 2 quantum healing hypnotist. So we are past life regressionists. And I work in this space a lot, and you can hear the spirits once they've gone from the body. They talk about their experience through
Yes.
the individual. So that's another topic. But
Yes. Yes.
yes, you said that weight loss is not just about food and exercise, but it's about emotional and energetic release. What do you mean by that? And how does that healing play a role in your physical transformation?
Oh my gosh, yes. I spent so many years struggling with my weight, and when I finally connected with this, that was the shift that happened that brought me into the weight loss.
Okay.
And so, to be very honest, obviously, I'd done all the things, right? I'd done all the right things to lose the weight, eating the food, starvation, deprivation, over cardioing, over exercising, trying to do all those things, but I never did the one thing, and that was love myself. That was the one thing that I
Yeah.
never did.
Wow.
And they talk about the lack of love in the body is actually what causes disease or causes issues, right? And so for me to be so, I fortunately was very healthy. I never had high blood pressure, never had any issues like that. My body was healthy other than having an excess amount of weight to lug around. My mind was not. My mental ability was not healthy because of my body. And so when I connected with realizing that it wasn't just about the food, it wasn't just about the exercise. It was about going in and healing internally, really starting to love myself, shifting my thoughts and reframing the things that I was saying to myself. So when I was always the negativity of being in that 3D thinking, right? Of I'm the victim, nothing ever works out, life is always out to get me. Oh my gosh, woe is me. And I don't mean that to be condescending to anybody that just got done saying that, but that was me. That was absolutely where was to then learning to shift into the 5D, right? But we first got to go to the 4 to get to the 5, which is in the teeter totter. But so reframing the way I was thinking and talking to myself. One thing I used to always
Cognitive
do,
reframing.
yeah.
I
I
love
used to
it.
always call myself Pepper Hannah whenever I looked in the mirror. Like that's how I talked to myself. I would never speak kindly to myself. So that's one thing that I did was actually using my name and mirror work. Anybody like I love Louise Hayes shares the mirror work. And I think that is such a strong connection to bringing you home to your soul, especially when you're looking at your eyes. When you look at your eyes in the mirror and you connect with that, I truly, at this point now, can see my higher self. I can also see my future self standing behind me as I do my mirror work because I'm connecting and going home to them. So when we actually start to heal ourselves on the inside, when we start to lead with love, when we start seeing ourselves as this beautiful person that we are and loving ourselves in the body as we are right now, that's when we begin to lose the weight. I always say that if you think about somebody that you really have very little time for, it's somebody that you just can't connect with and that is just not the nicest person that you ever cross paths with, right? Are you going to want to do something kind for this person? Probably not. Are you going to want to do something that's a lot of work for this person? Probably not. That's how we treat ourselves. So when I was 338 pounds, I didn't love myself. I didn't want to work hard for myself. I didn't want to do things for myself. So I didn't. I wasn't committed to doing the work. When I healed and I loved and I found and I truly started to see myself for who I was, that's when I was willing to do the work. That's when it felt easy to do the work. That's when it shifted everything. And as you talked about the neural pathways, it's getting out of that because when I put a roadblock on that neural pathway that I always said I had to eat like this, I had to work like this, I had to do this, treat myself this way, when I started to switch it, then I started to create new neural pathways so those old ones would actually fill in and no longer belong. That was the ability for me to be able to lose the weight. And then to lose the weight, I still struggled with seeing the worth that I had, right? And so then it was the next version of actually learning to love myself,
Right.
inward because I'd lost 220 pounds, still didn't love myself. Now it was going to a deeper level of love and realized how disconnected I was.
Exactly. And so if we only focus on the macros and the workouts, we treat the symptom rather than the root.
Right.
And
The
true
root cause, yes.
transformation happen. Yeah. That true transformation happens when we release, okay, that trapped emotion and the
Right.
fear that's stuck, that energy that's stuck that keeps us in these old habits. And once that weight loss has a new meaning, the body naturally follows suit. And your buzzword game is out of control. Future self, love the body. Those are some powerful ingredients. Girl, people better listen to you.
Thank you.
Who was your spiritual advisor? Because if you hadn't been working with anybody, the downloads you're getting are so impressive, and I'm excited about our conversation. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes. For the women listening right now,
Mhm.
uh, feel stuck, lost, maybe uh, feeling like they're living a life that isn't truly theirs. What is the first step they can take today to start shifting into this new, onto their new authentic self?
I have so many. I think the one that I absolutely would recommend would be bringing you home to just starting to do some. I'm going to give you 3, 5 steps. So, very first thing every single morning is just finding 5 minutes to meditate. So, this is going to be 15 minutes in the morning. So, wake up 15 minutes earlier, please. Don't put yourself in the race mode. So, do 5-minute meditation and then journal for 5 minutes on what that meditation was for you. And then read from a book that you want to read from, self help, or one that is just enjoyment for 5 minutes. That's going to open and expand the mind. That's going to, when you put those 3 things together, meditation, journaling, and reading, it really starts to shift the mind. And it's a very, very powerful way to start showing up, becoming the woman that you desire, opening your mind to realize what you want of what you currently don't have. And it gives you the ability to begin to dream and feel and just start visualizing the life that you would like to boldly choose and create.
Wow. Wow. Well, I am so glad. Is there any last words, anything that you want to say to the audience before I wrap us up here?
Last things. Oh my gosh. I think just know that who you are is who you're meant to be. And, somebody said to me one time, every single day that you show up to be someone that you're not, the world is being given a disservice because you were created for a specific calling. We all have one purpose, I believe, and that's to make this world a better place. That's our purpose. That's your purpose of being here. But you have a specific calling. And as long as you don't allow yourself to speak your truth, to be your authentic and love yourself unapologetically, you never step into that calling. And the world doesn't get that side of you. And we need you. We need you. So, my last word would be to just please be yourself, rise up and choose you so that the rest of us can get to have just a taste of what that would be like.
Awesome. Stay there. I'm gonna move you to the back. I'm gonna close it out. I'm gonna give
Okay.
people information and how they can find you. And just give me 1 second, and I'll be right back to you. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Wow. First off, thank you so much, Tara, just for sharing your powerful journey and these transformational tools in young women out here and young men. Listen, um, Tara has shown us how releasing self-abandonment, rewriting your identity, and clearing block energy can ignite massive change, both inside and out. And it's not just about weight loss, it's about a number of things that you could be dealing with. And for everyone who's listening, remember, the healing begins the moment you choose to honor your own worth and to step into your own authentic power. You must love yourself. No matter how much you diet and you work on being a better person, and you work on, cutting your gut, you have to love yourself. And that power is undeniable. And if today's conversation spoke to you in any way, okay, and if you're ready to break free from self-sabotage, self-limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, and reclaiming your power, then I'm thrilled to invite you to a free rise into your power session with Tara. And she's giving the information. In her private sessions, Tara can go one-on-one with you. You'll learn uncovering what's truly keeping you stuck, experiencing immediate energetic shifts, and gain crystal clear next steps to embodying yourself, your most authentic self. Ignite real momentum towards the life in your body desire. Okay. And she said to me, her spots are limited, guys. So claim your free session. It's in the show notes. So just go to the show notes and I'll put the link there for Tara. And just stay connected with Tara for this daily inspiration and this healing guidance. And she has her Instagram, her Facebook, her TikTok, and her website. All those are in the show notes. But I want to thank you for joining the expansion of consciousness. Okay. And if this episode moved you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear these insights. This is season 6, our 3rd show. And until next time, keep trusting, relaxing, and discovering your highest self. Thank you so much, and good night.